It's still pretty good.
Let me grab mine.
It's still good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so I've been waiting for a really long time to do this, and it's finally done. It's finally ready. I'm talking about my sketchbook. The sketchbook is complete. I started in August of 2018. So August of 2018, I started this book, and now it's August of 2019. 1 year later, 361 days later, and we're gonna sit here and flip through this thing, and it's about to be awesome. This is really special to me. This is so cool, and I'm about to flip through it. All right, check it out. We're just gonna start right now. Okay, so diving right into this thing, I want to, pardon my wobbly desk, sorry. I want to just look at the outside for a second. Just look at, all of this stuff has been hand done by me. It's all whatever. This is a crescent sketchbook with crescent render paper inside. And I just decided, it was all black, so I decided to put some little personal touches on it. Sketchbook, I got a Pokemon sticker, which is cool. Over here for some bookshelf-esque, whatever, So whenever it's sitting up in the bookshelf, I know what I'm looking at here. So this is the third sketchbook that I've ever completed, or called completed anyway. And then August 2018, and I gotta get my Posca pen and write August 2019, because this is when I'm finished. But on the back, you got the Hunt Studio, which is my channel name, obviously. This is just part of it, And WBFL, that stands for Wild Boars for Life, if you know what that means. So taking a look on the first page, nice. Get some sticker collections here. And I've also done, the sketchbook has front and back of these, so I just kind of filled it up with stickers, the whole thing. So I'll give you a little, get to appreciate that for a second. So on this first page, I decided to write on it and do a little sketch, I suppose, a little intro, I suppose. I'll just go ahead and read it. Is there anyone like me who, despite the excitement of obtaining a new sketchbook with a new opportunity to start fresh, is absolutely terrified of starting that first page? I must not be alone. I can't be. And again, here's the date, August 15th, 2018. That's when I started. So I might say something about the sketch. I might not say something about the sketch, but you're going to get to see it. So obviously the first real sketch here. I will say that I stopped this one because I started drinking and started to get a little intoxicated, and my lines got kind of sloppy, so I just stopped. I just called it done. And these are done with, the first several are done with, just all sorts of different types of materials: ballpoint pens, fountain pens, Sharpies, Rotring isographs, just anything really. My daughter named this one. This was around Christmas time or so. I don't remember. She sat in my lap and asked me to name it, and that's what she chose. So it's Joey. Here is something I was sitting in instead of watching a football game, I sat here and drew in the car in the parking lot. Here I started a doodle and didn't like it, so I just covered the rest of it with black Sharpie. And here, I actually did this just last night, this little sticky note. I just wanted it to be a part of the video, I suppose, so I stuck it in somewhere. Here is Vegeta. I had bought a pack of Prismacolor colored pencils, and just decided to do it. Here I learned actually that the fountain pen that I was using dug into this paper really bad. It made it, caused it to feather. And it just, it spilled over the lines and all when I inked it in, and it didn't work so well, so it's not perfect, but whatever. But you will see throughout the sketchbook where you see where I progress, you know, so it's kind of cool how I just progress. Again, I just coated this one in black ink, just wrote the words on here in some colored pencil. And then later on with these little name tape type things, I was doodling on those, a handful of those, and then I just slapped them in here just because, why not? Just another doodle. A lot of my doodles in here, there's a lot of stuff like this, where it doesn't really look like anything, it's just a lot of intricate details and whatnot. I'm gonna try not to do this too much, and I tried to keep most of them facing straight up, but this one I drew just like this. And yep, that's how I drew it. But I tried to keep them most of the drawings just like this, so that I didn't have to do this the whole time. But here's some words. I wrote scribble, scrabble, do as you do, crunch, scrunch, make, create. It doesn't matter what you do, so long as before you sat and decided to create it, it did not exist in this world. And down here, what defines art? At what point does someone who makes art is considered an artist? I believe once the artist realizes he or she is one, others have already decided. Through inspiration, new things are created. Just a couple little, some things that I wrote, just some jots, just some things that I thought about that I figured would be convenient, inspirational. Here's just a regular old Bic pen, something I just found and sat down, and over the course of a TV show, I sat here and drew that. It's pretty cool. See, again, I think at the same time, I was drinking coffee, as you can see, as I'm doing right now, which reminds me, I'm gonna take a sip. Yep. So I had taken my rotring isograph and I was just kind of really getting in there and scribbling real hard and came up with this. And then here we had come across some watercolors, some cheap watercolor, and I did this. Also, Peter Draws, he's a artist YouTuber, and he judges viewer art, is something that he has been doing consistently. And now at this point he's reviewed 2 of my pieces that are in this sketchbook, and this here is one of them. And I'll link to those videos in the description, so that'd be cool. So you can see him look at my art and speak on it. And both of those are, again, in this. I didn't do this too much. I tried not to like use this as like a tester, whatever. So I was like testing my Prismacolors and just kind of, you know, I brought this to work multiple times, and one of the times I brought it to work, I just allowed people to kind of draw things in here. Of course, you got the little S, and just I allowed people to just kind of do their own little thing, and then I covered in like little hatch marks, whatever. And then I drew this guy here, this giant at work. A lot of these, I tried to get a bunch of these as YouTube videos, just drawing live and then, you know, recording myself and then doing a voiceover. But some of them, most of them, I didn't. So this is either, I did post them on Instagram, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can go see all those and all the future ones that I post and never record. Yep, so this one is an example. I never recorded it, but I posted it on Instagram. So this one, what's so cool about this is that throughout the whole year, I stayed drawing in this book, whether I was like happy, excited, sad, depressed, whatever my emotion was at the time, and you could kind of feel that, you know. So you just get you get that emotion over the course of a year. You get to see that, you know, because I put a lot of emotion into my work, and you can tell I'm kind of like scatterbrained and just kind of all over the place, and yeah. So, again here, I tried not to do too much of this, and my plan was to put more of those stickers on it, you know what, like the name tapes that I had showed before. Put some more of those or something like that over the top of this, but I think I'm just gonna leave it how it is. Cause yeah. And then this one, I didn't really care for this one too much, but maybe you will. I promise there's some really, really good stuff in here. It's just later on as I like learn how to art, you know? Like I learned so much in this sketchbook and it's so cool. So sometimes I spent hours and sometimes I spent minutes on these sketches. This was done in a tattoo shop. It's pretty cool. These were done with some markers that I found on the side of the road. My wife and I, we found on the side of the road, so that's pretty cool. Excuse me. This was done with a Rotring isograph. This was done with a ballpoint pen. And I said I've missed this, ... as in, when I first started making art, I used like the cheapest art supplies. I never used anything more than a sharpened pencil and some paper that I just found, you know, like lined paper even. And that's what I was doing, is going back to that. And yep, it just felt good. It felt reminiscent over anything else. But here I was actually in the box, which I was like away from home, out in the woods for a month, and drew several pages in here while I was out there. And you could tell because the pages are really dirty, just really dirty from my hands just being disgusting. He's one of my favorite little guys. I love this little guy here. Some Baymax inspired type thing here, but you know, bulbous. And I love this color. I love the blue. I love it. And then that red contrast. And then right here it says nervous, because I had made something phenomenal. You know, I had just like scribbled real fast and made something I was really, really proud of. And then I was really nervous about starting this page here, because how do I follow up? You know, I make something great here. How do I stare this in the face and make something awesome on this page? You know, so it's kind of like nerve-wracking, but I just doodled on top of it anyway. So that's kind of how my main approach to most of these things. When I make something on one side that's awesome, that's really good, I just kind of do whatever on the other side. Nothing really crazy. I was trying to do a mechanical pencil. I just don't like mechanical pencil. I just don't like it at all. Something here just didn't really work too well. I was trying to get it look like the page, the border, or whatever. It was like something inside the page. I don't know. Did I accomplish that well? I'm not sure. Moving on. Some more of these little balls. I really enjoy this color palette, you know. I really like this. Scratching away with the marker. Just a permanent marker, different shades. Again, I try not to do this too many times in this sketchbook, but this time it just kind of... I can't help what my art takes shape, you know. Like, when my art takes shape, I can't help what orientation it's in. Sometimes. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But I tried to my best ability to. Here's one of my favorite spreads. And the last time I used this blue, the blue and red combo inside of this, like with these markers anyway, because you could tell they were going out real bad, and then I accidentally got them wet and they got ruined, so they're finished. And this was a Sharpie here, this black. The ballpoint pen underneath these little, inside the little deal here. Again, back home, this is when I came back from the box. I was no longer in the woods. I was back in my comfort zone, back at the house, and, you know, drew some, you know, some tree, rock-inspired thing here, and then, again, playing with those Prismacolors, those colored pencils, and just getting myself familiar with it, really, is honestly, that's what the sketchbook has been about, really, is familiarizing myself with new stuff. Because, I mean, this is the first time, really, I've ever invested money into, like, quality stuff, other than, like, ballpoint pens. So, again, I got a brush pen, and I was just scraping away at it, you know, just testing it out. This is like a little tester page. Here, I had watched the movie Venom, and I was listening to Ski Mask the Slump God a lot here, so here I was, you know, I had drawn a symbiote of sorts. Again, just taking a ballpoint pen, just a little green pen that you would find on the side of the road or something like that, is what I said in the video, and made this little plant person looking thing. And then here is USM, that's the University of Southern Mississippi. The colors are black and gold, and again, I was just drawing this little color palette, and I thought of USM, so I just slapped the letters on top of it, so nothing too crazy here. And that's what the sketchbook has been about, is like, yeah, there's some really, really cool finished products in here, but there's also a lot of fun that was had here, just scribbling away at it, and just had a lot of fun, honestly. I really, really loved it. This one took days. This one took a couple days to finish. The little hatch marks, the little stuff, but it was fun. It was a really good time. I actually ended up taking a handful of these pieces and scanning them in to my computer and making a digital file of these so I could print these out. And I actually sold a handful of these and about 5 other pieces from this sketchbook. Ended up selling quite a few of them, which was pretty cool, really neat. This is another one that was wasteland type thing. I'm not sure. I remember wanting to study, like, not necessarily landscapes, but like point, like a 2-point perspective or point perspective, whatever. So I just drew a line in here and did something with it. It's pretty cool. Again, hatching away at, you know, my blue markers, like I said, they went out, and then I had a handful of the same markers in just all different colors. So I picked out another little color scheme, and maybe I was thinking about adapting this into several of my pieces of work, you know. So there's another one where I just have fun, just drawing shapes and drawing just scribbling away at it, honestly. Working on, practicing on this contrast, I guess, like sinking out these shapes, making them nice and 3D, sinking them into the background with the dark colors, and then highlighting with this lighter color. And then that's what I really worked on a lot during this sketchbook, is hatching out these 3D shapes, making them look like they have form. And I feel like I got pretty good at it. There's more room to grow, obviously, but here, this is my, in my YouTube, I don't know what you call it, banner, or like when you first pull up YouTube on a cell phone, it's like this top thing, and I just like took this and then used this, and it was like zoomed into something like right in here or something. I'm not sure, but I made a digital copy of that and then made that my YouTube thing. But again, just a lot of this. There's a lot of this in this sketchbook, which was a lot of fun, even though it's not the most like beautiful, spectacular, whatever thing. It was a whole lot of fun to do. Just know that. This one is not fun. I hate doing hatching. I hate this. Like, all this little intricate stuff here. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. So, a lot of it I hurried along and then, you know, like, just didn't take my time with. But again, using these pencils that was my primary focus, was using these pencils, and combining different materials was my objective, and I think I did that pretty okay. What do you think? Aha. This is my first decent picture, you know, end result from my my brush pen. Actually, let me see. I've got it right here. I've got this is my new little case for my art supplies. This is what I'm primarily It's my new stuff. This is my brush pen here. This is my Rotring isographs. These are some Sharpies, just some fine liners, just some, yeah. And this is a fountain pen here. This is my white ballpoint pen. These are some pencils, and this is another brush pen. But yeah, this is primarily what I used, other than some like, this is like the most consistent stuff that I use. But if I'll like somewhere on a desk or something, a highlighter will be sitting there, and I just, just use it somehow, pick it up and like, hey, I could use that, and then think outside the box. And in this case, a circle. Try and figure something out. But I like to use just random cheap objects, not objects, but well, objects because of the circle, but materials to draw with, because you don't need super fancy things. You just don't. This was pretty cool. This ultimately became my avatar, my YouTube avatar, just the face of my company, if you will. But this started out as a doodle. Me and my wife and I were having a nice and healthy conversation in the morning over a cup of coffee, and I was just sketching away at this thing with just scratching away. Just drew some eyes, and then drew a face, and then drew like a nose here, and then here. And then I got the idea from Peter Draws to like glue in a piece of paper from the sketchbook. And I took this a little step further and extended it outside, And that I've got a YouTube video of that, so you can go watch that if you'd like to. Here, not so much. I was trying to use just black as the shading, the primary form of shading. I do like I will say that I like alternating. I like the freedom of alternating from the size. Like I got a big spread that I can use, or I could just hone in and just use 1/2 of the paper. And I like the versatility of these sketchbooks. So, a lot of times my little doodles don't end up looking good, so whatever. When I'm like, most of the time when they end up looking garbage like this, it's because I feel rushed. I feel like I feel pressured to perform at a certain level, and it just ends up looking bad, honestly, because I feel I put too much pressure on myself instead of just naturally letting it flow and letting it, happen. Whatever happens, happens. And that's kind of what I was doing here, and it just happened. And, and here's a prime example. Here's what happens when I'm just forcing art, and then here's what happens when I just kind of naturally let it happen. So, and that happens a lot in the sketchbook both times, where I'm, just, again, whatever my mood is. Here is kind of like you got the silhouette, maybe of a kid holding this, what was a kite initially, but I turned it into kind of like a balloon, something of a sort, and then here it kind of carries over into like what looks like an entity, like a dark entity, like a creature of some sort. And what's kind of cool is like this, my perception, you perceive it how you want, but my perception of this piece in particular is this creature was created by this kid, and this kid is holding basically this is all of his imagination right here in this blue. It's all his imagination, and everything that kind of happens within this character's mind, they're just connected, you know what I mean? It's really cool, so cool. And yeah, that's the thing. Well, these spreads, I forced it together, honestly. The only part about this piece I liked was here. These little triangular diamond shapes. Hey, I gotta stand up. I like the diamond shapes of this, so I kind of maybe mimicked it, but hurried it. It's just whatever. I'm having fun with art. That's the point. I'm just having fun. Yep, having fun. Just having fun with it, honestly. Here is I guess this guy, he's conquered this land of, this floating land, I suppose. Inspired by a Naruto movie. I think Bonds, I can't remember which one. But with the floating land. That's cool. This one is another one that Peter reviewed. I think he released this video just yesterday, which was Saturday. So, yep. He released that and said some things about my art, which was pretty cool, pretty surreal. He's, I guess he is the reason I started drawing so heavily, you know, consistently, because I watched one of his videos of his sketchbook, like I'm doing right now. I watched one of his where he just drew, you know, all the time. And I was so inspired by that, I just took up and started doing the same thing, which is so cool. So I have him to thank for a lot of this. Again, having fun, because that's what it's about, you know? That's what it's about, it's having fun. My wife was wearing a face mask, like a cleansing mask of some sort, like a moisturizing, I don't know what it was. And it was like hanging off her face after several minutes. It was just like dangling off her face and whatnot. I was like, hey, let me draw this real quick. And it was a horrible picture. I promise this is not what she actually looks like. But I was trying to capture the face mask and the way it looked. So it was funny the whole time, you know. The experience was nice. So more of this. You know, when I look back, like I put a couple of hours into maybe this one, like maybe 2 hours or so into these two, maybe 3 or 4, I don't know, honestly. But I look back and I'm like, that doesn't really look like much. It doesn't really look like a lot of anything. But again, it just like, that's not really why I draw, is not to make it look like something. It's just because I simply enjoy putting lines down, you know, like concentrating on putting all these even lines together and just drawing lines and connecting them all. And then the end result is kind of a byproduct of that, you know. So it's cool. And again, just with the pencils, the colored pencil. Trying to throw some color in there. Here's another one of my darker characters, which is really cool. So cool. Again, inspired by Toby from Naruto with the mask and all, and the color palette a little bit. But this was done with a brush pen. It's really cool. So this over here looks kind of cave-y, kind of like another like floating, something floating up in the air with like maybe a tree in here and like a cave sort of thing. I don't know. I have no idea. You interpret it what you want. You feel free to see my art how you see it. So, and that's what's cool about art. Here we go again with the random lines and not looking like anything. And again. This is actually when I got my Jazzy art box, which is, yeah, a lot of the materials, including the pencil case that I just showed, a lot of those were included in the Jazzy art box, which, let me see. I've got it right here. I've got the art box right here, and I'm gonna do a video on it. Oh, stuff's flopping around in there. I'm gonna do a video on it, but this is just me, like, basically getting familiar with the markers and the white pen in there, just really familiarizing myself with that, which was really cool. Here I did something outside of the norm of what I usually do and draw characters. Again, inspired by Naruto. If you can't tell, I like Naruto a lot. I get really inspired by the art style. That and Into the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man movie that came out last year. It was so good. Go watch that. That's awesome. And that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, with the big blocky shapes and all. But yeah, I was just again, familiarizing myself with the new materials and having fun with it, honestly, and making art. we're coming up towards the end of it, so it's kind of bittersweet, really. Here we are with a bird in his nest. Something I actually did before I drew the bird was I drew it like this accidentally. I was drawing, the whole time I was drawing just like this, and didn't realize that I was drawing upside down in the sketchbook. I was just drawing. And it ended up, I was like, oh, look, it was like a house sort of thing. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is upside down. So I flipped it up, and I was like, I can do something going in the house still, it's fine. So I salvaged it, so it's cool, it's awesome. Oh yeah, here we go. This is acrylic paint here, and some of my pens, just some technical pens. This is like a 1.2 millimeter technical pen. It's really cool, and the white ballpoint. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Honestly, it's like the white ballpoint pen. It's probably definitely a new favorite of mine for sure. The contrast of the black and the white, it's so nice, so cool. Again, this is probably my favorite piece in the sketchbook, honestly. You feel free to have a different opinion, but this is amazing. And again, like I said, I make something amazing over here, and I'm not afraid to mess up the next page just so I can flip over and bang, start over. Here, did this happen yesterday? Or the day before? The day before yesterday. We were sitting by the pool, my wife and I. Sitting by the pool, and this is what I drew. What I came up with a Sharpie and that white ballpoint pen. I did this yesterday. Both of these. Well, I did this yesterday, and then this at the wee hours of the morning. This morning, like early. And yep. This is really cool. It's a really cool piece. And something cool that I learned throughout this whole sketchbook is like, it's progressive, right? So like this piece back here, I kind of invented, I guess, discovered a new technique for myself, is like drawing these straight lines here. I would draw all the way up and down the dragon, but I would like pick my pen up progressively, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, all the while making these strokes, and it turned out really cool, I think, like the nice texture to it. So I applied that instead of like details, I applied that throughout this entire drawing. And you could really see with like this right here. You see where I picked it up and put it down, picked it up, put it down, all throughout the drawing. The whole thing. It's really cool. But this here is just a stippling piece, just kind of quick. My approach to this and every single piece here in this sketchbook has been drawing, like doing random things. Like here was random lines until I saw a rooster and then pushed it that direction. And here I just did some random dots all the way around the page until I found a set of eyes and then a nose. And I formed it into a face, and then I formed it into this whole thing, and this is what it is. Some Zelda inspiration here, some Link inspiration. So cool, love it. And that's the last, let's see. This is the final spread of the sketchbook. And yeah, I decided instead of drawing something and putting hours and hours and hours into something, and maybe it's obviously I want something spectacular to be on the last page or the last spread, So instead of drawing, I decided to write, and I'll read it to you. As the sketchbook is winding down to its last pages, I'm realizing that this chapter in my artistic journey is coming to a close. Naturally, as a grand finale of sorts, I want to create some amazing piece of work on this final page. Instead, though, I may just keep it simple. Not everything must be grand, and besides, the end of this sketchbook does not mean the end of my artistic journey. Truth be told, I have only just begun. I have learned so much about art and myself throughout this past year. My next journey, I expect to hone and perfect these newly learned skills, as well as learn more and more as each new sketchbook begins. I have my consistency and this journal to thank, and for those who continue to support my long journey. After all, where would I be without the constant support? Again, thank you. Stay weird. And my signature. And a smiley with dimples. And with that, that's the end. That's it. Oh, this is emotional. Oh, crap. So, Sunday, August 11, 2019 is today. And, yep. I was patiently waiting to write this date here. I had already done this previously 2 or 3 days ago. And I was patiently waiting to write the date. And so, that is it. That's the end of it. That's all she wrote. I'm going to try not to cry about it because, well, I've got a new sketchbook, so I've got another sketchbook that's plain and ready to go. It's ready to go. It's, you know, I got this out of the art box that I showed you earlier, Jazz's art box. And I'm excited about starting a new one. I'm excited about it. So out with the old, in with the new, and yeah, we're gonna get it. This is amazing. This is art is my it's what I fall back to each and every time when I don't know how to express myself. When I lose myself, this is what I refer to is my sketchbook, is my art, is my this is my emotions when I don't know how to speak. This is my life. This is my creativity right here. And I've got other projects, obviously, but this is a collection throughout the past year of different things that I've done. And this is going to be for the next year. And it's going to be so good. Oh, God, I'm so ready for it. And I'm going to go ahead and end right here. I'm going to thank you if you stayed to the end. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who's ever helped me, who's ever supported me, who's ever bought anything from me. Just thank you for the constant support, you know, in whatever way you may show it. You know, follow me on Instagram if you want, and give me a like, a little heart. That means a lot to me too. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you'd like to. I'm trying to grow this so that more and more people can see my art, and that's amazing. So I'm going to end right here, and I'm going to say thank you again. Thank you. This is the Hunt Studio, and I am signing out. Peace.